That's not the community that Malcolm was talking about bringing together. But there's something that's not the nation that Malcolm was talking about building. That's not the community that Malcolm was talking about bringing together. But there's something that's lacking in this current nation. This is what I'm going to say to finish this all off. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. When I mean men, I mean men. Brothers who stand 10 toes down. Wait a minute. You know, that's the one thing that we can say that's been effectively removed from our community is the influence of masculine men in black male leadership. You know, you wouldn't know much about Malcolm if it wasn't for his big sister Martha. Because Martha was the one that sponsored his trips across the country, paid for his hotel stays, paid for his security. I know, I talked to one regularly, Baba James Small, was a member of Malcolm X security detail. But she never made the movement about her. Sister Betty Shabazz, the wife of Malcolm, powerful sister. She was his wisdom. She was the homemaker that made the home a safe place for him. She had become his confidant, his safe space, his place of peace in a world consumed with violence that was aimed directly towards him. The irony is, until that fateful day in February 1965, when they took our dear brother out of here, nobody had ever heard her voice before then. And she went on to become a prominent, powerful figure. Even going on to get her doctorate degree and still helping black people till the day she died. The point is, both Betty and Martha knew that Malcolm had to be the face of that movement if he wanted sufficient change. It seems about the only war we're willing to engage in is the gender war, which really isn't a gender war. It's more like who would I like to have sex with war, if we're going to be perfectly honest about it. Because we don't talk about the real discrepancies in gender. We don't want to talk about the fact that our children can probably run off the lyrics to Chief Keef or King Vaughn or Lil Durk, and they can just rip and run the lyrics, that our girls know all the stuff from, I can't even remember. Sexy Red, that's the worst, right? Rip and run all of them off. But yet and still, most of our boys graduate or complete high school deficient, to the point where their reading and math skills are below 4th grade level. That's the real gender war. But we don't want to focus on that because that doesn't have a lot of pizzazz to it. That steak don't sizzle. The fact that we're losing our boys to the point that these boys don't even want to grow up and become men. Malcolm was the last masculine black figure that was uncompromised, the last his public image was that of such great stature that even now, people are trying to distort his image and distort his name. Maybe we should get back to some of the teachings of Malcolm. And keep in mind, a lot of the teachings weren't originally Malcolm's. He was just the best illustrator of what the message was at that particular time. Maybe we should reconsider our abandonment of this message out of fear and be courageous and start pouring some of his wisdom not only to ourselves, but into our children. Because right now, our children are being filled with hate from us. We see our babies at the gas stations. We see our babies at the supermarket, begging to politely assist someone with their bags to the car. Politely asking to pump someone's gas. And they have been called little bastards, little troublemakers, more than anything I've ever heard. Now you can imagine what you're doing to that child's image when they see it coming from someone who looks like them. And then you wonder why they become heartless a few years later, and that little bit of change they was asking for, now they're going to take it from you. It ain't nothing you can do about it, but beg for your life. Start pouring more love into our children. Start showing them more care and concern. It ain't about being a cool parent, it's about being a parent and monitoring what your children are doing. I'm tired of hearing too many stories about I didn't know my son was out there doing drive-bys. I didn't know my child was out there doing tricks. I didn't know all these different things. Seeing these missing posters, and we all, in all actuality, we know where they go. The one thing Malcolm never lost was his family to the streets. Let's regain our family from the streets. Thank you.